Hello everybody, it's Mystic. Today I am going to be talking about the Sims 4 Legacy Challenge and kind of doing a quick rundown on how to begin one. This is going to be helpful if you're new to the challenge or if you just kind of wanted a refresher even though you've done one before. With the Sims 4 going free to play, I thought it would be a good time to get a video like this up and hopefully help those of you that are interested in starting one. So what is a Legacy Challenge? The Legacy Challenge was actually founded by Pinstar back in 2004, and it started in The Sims 2, and it kind of just took off from there. You basically make a single sim with whatever traits you want, and the goal is to get to 10 generations and hopefully a wealthy, well-off family by using no cheats or hacks or anything like that. Hopefully this quick guide helps you out. So the first thing you want to do is obviously you are going to make your founding sim or your founder. Here I just have a test sim here. Her name is Testarina Testerson, and we're just going to use her to show how to go about doing this. I didn't do anything with her. I don't know what she's wearing aside from this. So basically when you make your founder, you can choose whatever traits and aspirations you want. Later on in the challenge, you're going to actually be using a random trait generator that we have on the website to figure out what the Sims in the later generations are going to have. I always start with the aspiration first and then I do traits, but you can do whatever you want. You can choose any aspiration you want. However, keep in mind that some of them, like the location ones, sometimes require that you live in certain areas that may not be conducive to having a Legacy Challenge. City Native is one of them because I believe you need to live in San Myshuno in order for this one to actually count, which requires your Sims to live in apartments, which isn't really super conducive for the Legacy Challenge. However, you can do the Moving On Up challenge there if you want. I tend to have my founder be a family sim just because I feel like it fits the story of a Legacy Challenge where you kind of want your family to be this successful family tree. So we are going to go with successful lineage because I think that fits really well for a Legacy sim. Again, that's my choice. You could do whatever you want. Once you get the aspiration done, you can then move on and do the traits and just pick whatever you want. I tend to go with ones that are going to fit with the aspiration just because, you know, it'll work out well that way. But again, whatever you want. I'm going to go with family oriented because I feel like it works well with successful lineage. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have all of the packs, that's totally fine. You don't have to use all of them, just whatever ones you happen to have. Ambitious might work pretty well for a Legacy sim. And finally, we'll go with cheerful because, you know, happy Sims tend to work out better when you have them doing some harder things. Let's go with that. And then you can just kind of do this however you want. I'm just going to leave it as is, but if you want to change any of these things, this is just all personal preference. You know, their voices, how they walk, that sort of thing. So you got your sim created. That's all you need to do at this point. Let's just click play and then we will get her moved in. Now, as far as where you want them to live, it used to be that you had to start on a 50 by 50 lot in The Sims 4. However, we don't actually require that anymore, especially since bills in this game have gotten a lot beefier over the years. Oh, by the way, as far as the season you play in, you can choose whatever season. I tend to choose spring. Again, personal preference, not a big deal. You could choose any of these worlds that you happen to have. I think I have all of the packs that give worlds except the Star Wars one. I don't even know if you can live there. But yeah, choose whatever one you want. I really like living in Brundleton Bay. That's one of my favorite towns to live in. And you can, so there's a couple ways you could do this. You could pick an empty lot like this one here, or you can demolish one of the bigger lots in the area. So this lot I've done before. So how do you get rid of this house? Because obviously you can't buy this one right now. It's like $1 bazillion. Just so you can see how to do this, let's move her onto Dachshunds Creek because it's just an empty lot. It's cheap. We know she can afford it. Let's do that right now. Now that she's moved in, you're not going to actually do anything on this empty lot. You're going to just leave this alone. What you are going to do though is you're going to go to manage worlds in the menu. And then what you're going to do at this point is you're going to just leave her or your founder alone for the moment. You're going to actually go over to the town that you were moved into. Click on the house of the lot that you want. And then you're going to go to build. So at this point, you don't have your founder active. But what you're going to do is you're going to go in here and you are going to bulldoze the entire lot. So you're gonna just take the whole house down. You got that. And then also I like to flatten the terrain too. It makes it easier to build on. So now we've got a completely empty lot. This is one of the biggest lots in the game, and we are gonna save. This is also gonna make it so that she can afford this lot. We're gonna go back to manage worlds, and then we are gonna grab our sim here. We are gonna go to the little 3 dots here where it says more, and we are gonna choose the option to evict the household. You evict her, she's no longer on Dachshunds Creek. And then you go up here to manage households. You can see she is now in the households area. Click on her, gonna click move, and now she can afford Hound's Head, which is 12,000 simoleons, so significantly more than Dachshunds Creek. And like I said, it's actually one of the biggest lots in the game. It's 64 by 64, so definitely more expensive. Again, this is totally optional. If you don't want one of these big lots, you could totally move them in to, like, you know, a 40 by 30, a 20 or a 30 by 20. Just keep in mind that because this is a family that you're going to be doing for 10 generations, you really are going to need a lot of room to expand. And that's kind of what these big lots excel at, because you have so much space to put all sorts of things on your lot that you wouldn't get if you had a 30 by 20 lot or smaller, slightly bigger or anything like that. So I tend to prefer the 50 by 50s and 64 by 64 lots. But again, personal preference. It also depends on how well your game runs with these giant lots. Mine does okay. Not everybody's does. So just kind of play it by ear. If you need to, you can move them into one of the smaller lots. That is totally fine. So we are going to move her into Hound's Head. Okay, we are back on Hound's Head. As you can see, the lot is empty. However, we have more simoleons at the moment than what the challenge requires us to have at this point in the game. Even though this lot is super expensive, it's still not enough to take all of our money down to the required 1,800 simoleons that the game, or that the challenge says you should start with. Now, it used to be, back when this challenge first started, if you remember, the rules back then, we used to tell you to go into buy mode and buy the Knight of the Octagon table, which I believe was a fairly expensive decoration. Actually, it's more expensive than we can even afford because this lot is bigger than the 50 by 50 we originally had the challenge built for. But it used to be that we would tell you to buy this and stick it in your inventory because it would not only bring your money down to the 1,800 simoleons, but it would also make your bills more expensive. However, since we started the challenge, that is no longer something you need to do because bills have gotten ridiculous over the years. They changed them up a ton. I want to say a few years ago, I don't remember which pack it was, but now when you take care of your bills, they're very expensive. So as you can see, it's already 216 simoleons. We don't have anything yet. We don't have furniture. We don't have lighting. We don't have running water. Like, there's literally nothing. And she's already got to pay 216 simoleons, which is a lot when your sim doesn't have a job or anything just yet. So you're gonna find that you don't need that Knight of the Octagon table to make your bills pricier. So here's what we are going to do instead. This is the only time in the game that you are allowed to use a cheat. You are going to bring up the cheat window, which is Control-Shift-C. You are going to do testing cheats on, and then you are going to do money 1,800. And that's going to bring your money down to the 1,800 simoleons that you need. At this point, you can turn off testing cheats because you don't want to leave those on if you're not going to be using them. And then you can exit out of the cheat window. So now we have our 1,800 simoleons. There's a couple things you can do from here. You can put furniture in that you think your sim is going to need. It's totally, just get a bed, maybe a toilet and a shower. But bear in mind that since you're out in the open, your sim is going to have to do all of this without any sort of privacy. There are a couple of ways that you can get by with this. You can actually turn a roof into a house. Now, I didn't actually talk about this on the getting started guide that I posted on the website, but you can totally do something like this because it is free. It gives your sims privacy because these walls don't actually cost you any money when you build a roof. So you can go with that. You can put a door in, and then you can put all of your stuff in there. So here's what I think we're going to do. I'm going to show you how you can do this and it's going to cost very little money for you to do. So you could get all of the furniture you want yourself. However, a few years ago, I actually went and I made a starting lot for a legacy challenge. You can go onto Pinstar's gallery account and you just click on Legacy Lawn Living and you can download it. You totally don't have to do this. You can make your own, but this one basically has everything you need to get started in the Legacy Challenge, and it costs the amount that you can afford because it is less than the 1,800 that the game has you start with. So when I first built this little lawn living thing, there wasn't weather in the game yet, and it was fine to leave your fridge and your electronics out in the open because nothing was going to hurt them. However, that is totally different now, and your fridge will break every time it gets rained on. So you don't really want to have to deal with that. So what you can do instead is you can make a little roof house for your sim to live in, and it'll totally take care of things getting rained on, and it won't cost you any additional money because you're already starting with such a small amount anyway. You can kind of make this as big as you need to. I think it's going to cut the easel off, so I have to just add that back in, but we can just kind of move things around as we need to. Right here, we can move this back a little bit, put that there, and let's just grab the easel back. So now everything is protected. It's probably a little bigger than it needs to be honest. This will just keep your stuff from breaking. You can kind of mess around with this as much as you need to. Get whatever cheap door you can so that your sim can actually enter. And then that's it. This is how you can get around the whole no protection for your items. And now you have a little roof house for protection for everything. And it costs absolutely nothing to do it this way. If you were to try and build the walls individually, it would cost you money to do that. But if you put the roof on, the walls come for free. So you can do that, and now you don't have to worry about your fridge being broken. The only problem is this is a little bit of a pain in the butt to maneuver with because the roof constantly shows up when you're trying to look at things inside the house. It's probably not the most practical, but it helps, at least until you can afford actual walls. One final tip that I have is a way for you to remember which succession laws you have in your game. And if you want to see which succession laws we have for the Legacy Challenge, you can check the list that I have linked down below of all of the succession laws for the Legacy Challenge that we have. Basically, it just helps you decide which ways you're going to determine your next heir in the next generation. I used to just kind of write these down in a notebook, but if I had a dime for every time I'd lost the notebook that I had these written on, I'd have a lot of dimes. So what you can do instead is click the family that is your legacy family, then go back to the three dots and then click the Manage Household button. Here you have a description, right? So you can actually click that description and you can type in which Legacy Challenge succession laws you are using, and this will remind you every time you log into the game what yours are, just so you don't forget them. I believe you can check this somehow within the game too if you need to. I could be wrong, I don't remember, but it's just a nice way to remind you. I just wrote in some random ones here, but there are a ton of other succession laws that you can choose for your Legacy Challenge, and this is just a quick way to remember how to do it. That was my quick little guide on how to start a Legacy Challenge. Hopefully this helped you. I'm gonna try and get another one of these up soon and just kind of go over some ways to make money early on in the Legacy Challenge that obviously doesn't use cheats. So stay tuned for that. I do actually have these in a written format on the Legacy Challenge website. I have a written version of how to start a Legacy Challenge. I have a written version of how to make money in the Legacy Challenge. And I have a written version of the succession laws ranked from most difficult to least difficult, or most complex to least complex. So if you want to check all those out, I have those on the Legacy Challenge website. I'll have that linked down below. And I'm hopefully going to get videos up for those as well once I get a chance to do that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye!